Otherwise, they hear echoes. We're
Hey
live.
everyone, we're live. Hey, thank you so much for joining this live stream. And hi, if you're watching it on the replay. As you can tell from the title, and as I probably tell from, oops, let me remove the echo. And as you can probably tell from my excitement, we are going to be doing this live stream with Sarah Burns Studio. And I am sure you already know her, but if you don't, let me highlight. She's one of my favorite artists who's been
Aw.
creating. No, it's true. Like, because of you, I honestly started getting more intrigued in painting outdoors. So, but but yeah, so she's one of my favorite artists on YouTube who's been creating for years, an artist who's been creating art even before YouTube, who also does photography and
Aw.
cinematography and creates the most beautiful videos of Scotland. Has genuinely had me considering going up there despite how cold it is. Creates
Yes.
beautiful you're winning me over. Creates beautiful gouache, watercolor, acrylic paintings, the whole works, and is kind enough to have joined us for a live stream today. So it's not a tutorial. We're just going to be chilling and chatting and painting along. And I hope that you will join us in doing the same. If you enjoy this video, because I always forget to ask, please consider liking the video if you enjoy it, because I end up doing like a 3-hour live stream and forgetting that I've mentioned it. But with no further ado, I'll let Sarah say hi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for that amazing intro. Yes, you should definitely visit Scotland. It's incredible. And I do want to come down there at some point too. So yeah, we'll cross paths eventually in person. Yeah, definitely like the video. First thing you do, just like it. If you don't like it, just hit the like button twice. And then, yeah. But we're going to stream today. We're going to have fun and just chat and hang out, I guess.
Exactly. I normally tell them to hit the like button 3 times to really show the disdain if they dislike it, you know?
That's a good one.
But yeah, no, I'm just gonna say hi to a few people, but
Yeah,
we are
lots of people.
doing,
Cool.
yeah, I know, like so many familiar faces as well. Hey, Astroglio, Lara, Temple, Miss Ebony, a few new faces that I haven't met before. Hey, he sound, hello from the US. Hey, Moni, thank you for joining. Let us know where you are watching from. Hey, Gyurko, and if you are painting as well. I'll try my best to keep up with the chat as well as paint, but we'll see. And we'll see. Let me show
Yeah.
you our reference photo. It's linked down below in the description, and it's on my community tab. And I think I shared it in a whole bunch of different places. So I'll share it very quickly here. Or
I'll
everyone
try not
from
to
all
heavy
over.
breathe into the camera. Please let me know if I'm doing that. It's like I've been known to do that. So
I didn't realize that I did that until I started editing my YouTube videos and I had to start editing out my breathing. I was like, this is getting a
yes,
bit
exactly.
ridiculous.
I am just such a heavy breather when I'm painting.
It's amazing what we don't know. So this is the reference photo that we're using that Sarah actually took a picture of. I didn't realize that, so I hadn't been saying it.
It's okay.
But yeah, incredible picture. Thank you so
It's
much
just
for
down the
sharing it
road,
with
just my backyard.
us. It looks like a magical forest. Like the
It
way that
is.
you captured the light is stunning.
Yeah, it's such a amazing place. It feels very mystical there.
And oh, there's people from all over. So painting my nails for Valentine's Day, does that count? I think that counts. Painting is painting. And people from Texas, the USA, from Wales. Yeah, the chat's super busy. Hey, over
Hello,
Dubai,
everyone.
Germany,
7 years,
Canada.
is that all? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Time is flying. It feels like we're in some kind of time warp every year. It gets worse and worse.
I know, especially because I I feel like I haven't done anything for this year yet. Like, I used to
Yeah.
see like memes and stuff that used to say January is just a practice run, and I never fully understood it until this year. And I was like, yeah, no, we're just gonna have to discount January because I did nothing.
I mean, I've done a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but in terms of like what I've been putting out into the world, it's a lot less than it was at the end of last year. So I feel, in a way, it feels like I haven't done much, even though I know I have.
Yeah, no, it's just
But
about it's fine. Like you said, January is a practice run. We can take over in February, which we're already halfway through February. A watercolorist asked, where was the photo taken? Scotland? Is that?
yeah, it's a forest called, well, I call it Fangorn Forest, but it's called Reelig Glen. It's kind of near Glen Affric, which is south of Inverness.
No, it's absolutely stunning. The thing that gets me about Scotland is just, to me, I just imagine it's cold all the time. But when I started watching your videos, I was like, okay, maybe I could actually go outdoors one day.
Yeah, there's plenty of times of the year I can just be out in like a t-shirt or tank top or something and it's warm, but then we do get it changes quick. So it's all about layers. You just need a bunch of layers and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I've seen like a few of your videos as well where you like go out and then you're like, oh, it's nice and sunny, and then it's like, oh no, the clouds are coming in. I'm like, what? How can the clouds be coming in so quickly? And then it's like, oh, we left just in time and it started pouring down. I was like, wow.
Yeah, just the weather moves so fast, which is actually, I think, good because you can kind of rely on it. If it rains, it'll move on. I mean, or it could just keep raining, but I don't know, like you can kind of see the weather coming from like, especially because I'm on the coast a lot. I see it coming from far off and I'm like, oh, got to put my rain jacket on. I'm about to get soaked.
Yeah. And how have you found like painting outdoors and creating outdoors?
I barely started doing that before I moved to Scotland. So like I lived in Denver before and I started doing it a little bit here and there, but it was really after I moved here that I started doing it frequently. And I feel like it's just helped me get to know Scotland in such an intimate way, in a unique way, that I can't not do it now. Like when I go out hiking and exploring, I have to paint it. Otherwise it doesn't feel right. It feels like I don't get the whole experience unless I paint it. So
I'm quite surprised. I thought that you would have been painting like outdoors, even when you were in the US. I was really curious to know like, what kind of art you created in the US actually.
I only painted for like a year before I moved here.
Really?
Yeah, so it was pretty early, and at the early stages I was just figuring things out a lot. I wasn't quite ready to go out, and I did like 1 or 2 gouache sessions outside, and I brought like a huge tray like this. I brought a ton of tubes of gouache, and I was like hiking miles up into the mountains. It's like, what am I doing? It was so heavy. And then, you know, obviously later I discovered like little palettes existed and things like that. But yeah, it was different. You know, we all go through these learning curves, these phases. And
I mean, I'm still a heavy packer, but I don't hike. So I think maybe if I did that, then things, hopefully I would pack lighter, because you literally have to carry everything. I've seen some of your like setups and they're absolutely tiny, but you still do amazing paintings with them. So it shows you that you don't need, sometimes less is more.
Yeah, I think that's another reason I do use a limited palette and very minimal supplies, is because I paint outside so often. It's just it feels more normal than having like a big setup and a lot of colors. And yeah, it's so, and when I practice inside like this, I'm always thinking of how can I make it efficient, and thinking about the process as if I were outside.
So what were you doing because I know that you were an artist in the US as well. I remember you saying that when you met Wolfie, you told him you were an artist, and then he checked out your stuff and was like, oh, a real artist.
Yeah, he's like, oh, right, okay, an artist, sure. And then he looked at my stuff and was like, wait, oh, okay, an actual artist, all right. Well,
but what kind of things were you creating then?
I was only really getting into it like a year into it, a year and a half or 2 years into it by then. But like, I was doing a ton of fan art, like video games and anime and movies, and just everything I love. That's what really motivated me at the beginning of my painting journey, was to paint things I absolutely loved. Because we go through a lot of hurdles when we first start. So I think the most important thing is to stay super inspired, to keep you motivated to keep going. So my early stream days, it was basically, well, I started streaming games and then I switched to painting and doing art, but I was still painting like Halo fan art and Ghibli, tons of Ghibli stuff, tons of Lord of the Rings paintings. Like all of my early stuff is fan art. And I learned so much doing that.
There's currently like a trend going around that I wanted to try, that was like painting screenshots, and I was like, I watch a lot of TV. Why can't I? Maybe I should do that. You know, try and look at like movies and cartoons and everything else with a, I guess, artistic view.
That's such good motivation to learn, I think. So
yeah, I feel like when I started painting and drawing, I kind of all of a sudden felt like I could see everything better, like everything looked prettier. I noticed things that I hadn't noticed before, and just a whole bunch of different things. So
I agree. I think I see the world so differently now. It's like everywhere I go, everywhere I look, every time we drive, every time I walk, I'm like, what color would I use to mix that? What would I do for that? I just can't not see it that way. I think that's pretty common for artists.
Yeah. There are a few questions in the chat. So Moni says she's swatching. Does that count? I think that also counts. Art is art, even if you're thinking about art. And
you're thinking along instead of painting along.
Exactly. And painting an ocean scene and watching. Hey Jennifer, that sounds awesome. I always I'm obsessed with the sea. And
yes, we have some Halo nerds in the chat. Halo used to be my whole life. Like after college, or in college and after college, I was doing like Halo tournaments and going to events and just obsessed. And I started streaming with that, as well as Call of Duty, if you can believe it. I don't know. I just was obsessed with it. And I realized I was obsessed with it, and I was like, something needs to change. Like, I can't do this, especially once I found art, because I was like, wow, if I want to get good at art, I have to really devote a ton of time to it. I can't play video games all the time, which has been a sacrifice for sure, but I'm so happy. So
I think I played Call of Duty as well. It was through my siblings. Like there was like a period of time during Christmas, you know, when we all had time off, and they were like, oh yeah, let's just play. And I just got like super into it. And there was a point of time where I think we played maybe like 16 hours in a row, just like something ridiculous. Like all we did was just play. And I was like, no, this is getting too much. Like I need to do other stuff. And I have quite like, I don't want to say like addictive personality, but quite.
I was gonna say, yeah, no, I'm the same. That's what I called it back then. I was like, I have an addictive personality. I need to change this. My habits.
Exactly. I was like, no, I can't continue with this. Otherwise, like everything will fall to the side, all in the name of me playing COD.
Yep.
And what are you doing now? Are you doing like a thumbnail sketch or
yeah, probably looks completely insane, but I am doing I'm kind of exploring the composition and the values at the same time. I have two options. I'm gonna paint whichever one I like the best after this. And with color, obviously.
No, it makes sense.
But usually my little value studies like this are so awful. But as I'm doing it, I'm like really honing in on what I want to focus on or what I want to change, because I usually change a lot based on my feeling. But yeah, it really helps if you're not really sure what exactly you like about the photo or what you want to focus on, because there's a lot in this photo. You could tackle it all, but I think I want to simplify it. Especially yeah, anyway, it's just a fun little exercise.
No, it makes sense. I think one of the things that I need to work on is prep. I do no prep, no planning before painting, which is wild. I literally just sit down. I'm like, da, 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 da. But do you do it outside or inside?
Well, yeah, when I'm outside, I usually just jump straight in. If I have a little extra time, I'll do something like this. But I mean, the time often it's so limited when you're outside
Mm,
painting, and the weather's going to change fast. So I feel like more pressure to just get into it.
mm,
And of course, you learn in a different way. You learn a lot in a different way doing that. So they're both valuable. But if you have a little extra time, doing something like this is, I think, extremely valuable, and it trains you to kind of see values a little bit more. And I swear I can talk all day about it, but to do it is a whole different story.
No, it's something that I want to work on as well. We'll see. I'm not doing it now. I'll show you what I'm doing at the moment. I've literally just started blocking in colors. Team video games.
Oh yeah, I just realized we can't see all the screens, can we?
No.
Oh no,
No.
I'm the big screen. Oh.
You sounded so sweet. Like, wait, what? Yeah, I can't control like who comes when, but yeah, you're the big screen for now. And then if I remove the, let's see what happened here. Now it's all of us.
Oh,
You
okay.
can see my thing.
Hi.
I'm just looking at my darkest darks. Hey, and reading the chat. Yes, I used to love Sailor Moon. Like, part
Oh
of me
my,
considered rewatching it, but other part of me doesn't want to ruin it. You know, you see things better as a child, I find.
yeah, it's one of those things. It's like you had to be there. I think if you watch it when you're older, or well, the manga I think is fun no matter what, but
Mm,
it's very, kind of like adolescent themed, but
yeah.
it's so nostalgic for so many of us that like I can't hate on it at all. I just love it.
No, me too. It used to be one of my favorites. Hey, Faith Ann. There's so many people. I'm sorry I'm not saying hi to everyone, but I am like showing your comments to show that I can see them. I just don't want to um I want to give everyone time and say hi to everyone. I decide I don't understand FPS in general. L4AD. I don't know what that means. I struggle.
First person shooter.
Oh, thank you. I think my lingo stopped at AFK.
Away from keyboard.
Yeah.
Yep. LMAO.
Elaine. Hey
I
everyone.
know
Oh,
there's a lot. If we miss anyone's question, just try to ask again, or like tag one of us, maybe that will help.
yeah, so that we can see it.
One thing I find when I'm doing these little value studies is I'm constantly going back and forth. I'm like, ooh, I want this tree to be dark. Wait, no, now I want this tree to be dark. But what I should really do is just like a bunch of them and then choose which one I like the best. Because yeah, otherwise I spend like so long doing this and I'm like, just paint. I don't know. That's just me.
No, it makes sense. I think I don't tend to I don't feel like I tend to look at it. Whoops, made a mistake. Look at it with the intention to change things very much. I say that, but then again, people are like, "Oh wow, look at the colors that you picked. It has nothing to do with the reference." So I'm like, okay, maybe I am changing things subconsciously. But no, playing around with the compositions and things is something that I will definitely try. I tried to do it with my florals actually. I just took like a course on Domestica just to try and see. You know, sometimes I find like it's good to try and do something different, like to experiment. Otherwise, I just end up doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it isn't
Yeah.
as fun.
Yeah.
And she was kind of like talking about compositions and planning things out with loose florals, which I was like, wow, like I always thought, you know, with loose florals, you just go in there and kind of toss caution to the wind and see what happens. But she had a completely different approach to it, which was interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it helps no matter what. And especially if it is, I think florals are complicated. I think there's so much going on. There's so many things overlapping. There's so many light, like different versions of the colors based on what angle everything's at. And yeah, I could totally see why it would be helpful to make little composition, little studies of them.
And little thumbnails. Yeah, no.
Do you ever find that like some days you can just see things and just go and do it, and other days it's like your brain is kind of like taffy, it's just so slow, and I don't know. I have moments like that where I'm like, I can't. Yesterday I could do this. Today I absolutely can't do this.
No, I definitely have moments like that. It tends to be, I find because I'm doing like abstract florals, I'm almost like, if I'm in a mood like that, it will just be that the florals to me will look ugly. So
Mm,
it's like I can still do it. I won't necessarily be like 100% very happy with the results. Whereas with like, I find gouache painting like landscapes harder. So if like sometimes if I'm like, oh, literally, I don't know what I'm doing, then it could be that it turns out to be a complete mess. Which is why for live streams, it's always interesting if I, do landscapes, gouache landscapes, although that's been what we've been doing recently, because I
yeah.
have no idea how this painting is going to turn out.
It's so fun when that happens.
It's going to be a discovery for all of us.
Yeah. I find if you do like to work really loose and just very expressive, that's
Mm.
my preferred way of working. You can have an idea of where you're going with it, but it really does surprise you in the end, which is so fun. I love that discovery process.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a discovery. I hope it's going to make sense by the end of it. But
So
I'm
these
very
are
much
my
trying to
colors.
focus on the process. Like I'm enjoying being live, chatting with you and chatting with everyone in the chat. So
Yeah.
what happens of it, irrespective of what the painting looks like at the end, that is what I will remember.
Yeah, me
Bonus
too.
if it's a nice painting.
Yeah. And if this is like a study session, and it is actually really hard to talk and paint at the same time. So like, yeah, don't expect amazing masterpieces, but it is a study session. So that's,
Low pressure.
if I think I might do like a tiny color study and then do a bigger one down here.
Mm.
But like,
I
I want
really
to
like the
work.
black and white one, to be fair.
What?
I really like the tonal study that you did.
Oh, thanks.
It
It's,
looks like it's from a
can you
movie.
even tell what it is?
Yeah, I can. Someone's asked, what colors are you using to achieve your grays?
Black and white.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
well, if you mean here, it's black and white, but in a painting, like, I'll show you. That's actually something I've been working on a lot lately, using grays in a painting. So, like here, is that showing up?
yeah.
That's the color palette I use to make this. So, my focus on this painting. By the way, you're getting a sneak peek of the comparisons coming up, the
It looks
reviews.
beautiful.
Thanks.
Both of
It's
them honestly look so stunning.
thank you. I was really, really, really trying to paint with gray tones and like neutral tones because this is so insanely vibrant. And the scene there was a lot of grays and browns. It was easier with the Arteza earth tone set because these were the colors I used and they're already very earthy and kind of neutral. But I was like, I'm determined. I'm gonna try to make it look like it came from the same set almost,
It
So
does.
that's kind of the idea. You can mix so many amazing grays with really, really intense color, but it definitely takes more effort. So I'm like honed in on that this year, or have been for a while, but really trying to make every painting understand that better in every painting I do. But it's a struggle.
I'm seeing some more questions. I'm trying to catch up with them. Someone says, how do you pack your paints or supplies to carry them on a flight? I actually made a video about this
Yeah,
because
you
I
should
spent hours looking it up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And everyone has different answers.
I know. I think one conclusion is like it varies on where you're traveling to as well.
Maybe, yeah.
It varies on like the person that you meet on the day. So there are like no
Oh,
guarantees.
yeah. I had bad luck. I did not have good luck. So, I can't say everyone will have the same experience, but some people don't have as many issues and I'm like jealous. Why do I always get stopped by the people who hate paint?
I normally get stopped, but thank God they've never like taken my paints away from me. What I tend to do is if I'm carrying like um liquids, you have to make sure that they're all um under 100 mils and that they fit into the little bag. I think it's like 10 centimeter bag. So I just make sure that they can fit in there. And then I don't use words like solvents, oils, like none of those
Yes.
like trigger words that will make,
Yeah.
non-painting
Very
people
smart.
nervous. I'm like, oh, they're colors. They're artist colors. Like I really, simplify it all the way down. Sometimes I don't even say like, obviously they can read and see that it's paint, but I feel like people automatically think like, oh, paint, flammable, like solvent is going to like, I don't know, explode. They have all
Mm.
these like really bad ideas about it. So I'm like, oh, it's like watercolors. They're just like artist colors.
Yeah,
And
that's a good
tend
idea.
to, I tend to try and carry them on my person as well. Like I tend to not check them in, just because I want to make sure they get there at the end. And what else do I do? And if I can, like it's easier with watercolors, obviously. If I can, then I will try and just carry the pans because you have no issues with pans in terms of like they
Yep.
won't take watercolor pans from you.
Yeah.
With gouache, sometimes with our palette, the palette that the Stay Wet palette,
Mhm.
sometimes I'll let it dry out completely just so
Mm.
that it's dry and thus I don't need to put it in that little bag and thus it doesn't really tend to get picked up. But if it's
Mm.
liquid, then I'll just put it in that bag and stick 100 ml sticker on it and
Yeah.
act confused if they stop me. Be like, what? But yeah, that's what I do. I don't know if you do anything different.
I leave all of my toiletries at home and I put all these little things in a plastic bag. And those are my liquids. And every single time no matter what I say about them, no matter what they always do the swab thing, like they're
Oh
testing it
yeah,
as
yeah,
if it's a bomb or something like that. I'm like, oh,
yeah. No,
so
they swab me too, but I mean that used to happen even, I could have toothpaste in there and they would be like, "Oh, we
yeah,
need to swab your bag." So that's standard, but but
yeah.
thankfully they've never um
And I got
taken
some
it away.
confiscated. Well, I think it was coming back into California or something. Um, some Windsor Newton gouache. They took it.
Mm,
Luckily, I was coming home, but like
yeah,
still,
still it's upsetting.
yeah.
No, but that's our 2 cents, Tanya. And then how do you break down a reference picture from
Mm.
Phil? That's a good question. So you've seen
Oh
how
yeah,
Sarah's breaking it down. and
yeah.
and for me,
My approach is, what do I think is interesting about it? To me, when I took the photo, I loved that there was like a beam of light coming down and hitting this one area.
mm,
So when I paint it, I'm kind of having fun with that. Like this will be the bright area, and the rest will be kind of dark and more dense. So it's always about light for me, I guess. I'm not really subject driven, except the fact that I love nature, but light is always the thing that catches my eye and makes me excited to paint. So, oh, and in terms of breaking it down, I guess it depends on how much space you have on the page and what you're focusing on. So for me, it's like I want a bunch of the big trees, maybe not all of them, enough to tell the story that it's like a forest. It's a little bit more dense, and the light has to be right for it to work. So instead of looking at different things, I try to see shapes of color or value. So try not to be biased about like that's a tree trunk or that's a branch or that's a background thing. I like try to squint my eyes and look at it and like that is a dark green or that is a off white kind of approach. Does that help or does that make sense?
no, that makes sense. I try to do the same in terms of like blocking in colors initially.
Mm.
Um, I think one of the things that helps me is, especially with gouache, trying to start off with like the darkest colors and then and the biggest shapes.
Ah,
And then like trying to figure out, okay, what else is there? So I'll start with like the darkest colors and then move to the biggest shapes. And then after that, start adding details because I can layer, and that is one thing I love about gouache.
Yeah, oh, gosh, it's just so fun. I love it. I think I do that something similar on white paper, but if I'm using toned paper like this, I always start with the brights, the lightest tones, because that's I mean, the paper isn't your bright tone. Not that it would be anyway with like with white paper with gouache, but if you can capture the brightest tone, everything else has to be darker for it to make sense.
No, that makes sense. Someone's asking about your tattoo. Guess they're kind of curious. Is that something that you want to talk on, or shall we?
Oh, this one?
Yeah, I think so.
I wanted her to capture things I love about nature. And so we started with different ideas. There was going to be a lot more to it before we got to this point, but I told her some of my favorite plants, blossoms, ferns, olive trees, olive branches. Like she had a lot to play with. And she's an artist here in Scotland, and she's amazing. Let me actually, I can't show my phone because I'm streaming with it. Let me put it in chat. I'm going to put it in chat because I want everyone to follow her. She's amazing. Laura, and let me find her. She has an interesting shop name. I can't actually pronounce it. But it's here. Can I copy this? Copy.
I'm laughing at Tanya saying that I call them artist colors. I'm not joking. Anything to make them sound like I'd call them crayons if I could get away with it. Anything to make it sound really safe is what I will tell to the TSA or to the security people at the airport. Have you sent it in chat? And I'll try it. Laura, let me see. And I'll bring mine along in pans. Yeah, pans is the safest option for paints, I find, when traveling.
Yes, just drying your brushes. Oh, someone was asking if this is one of my brushes, and yes.
Yeah. Talk to us about your brushes. They like sold out straight away.
I know, that was insane. Oh my god. They're these. They're very, very soft. So basically, I wanted them to work for gouache. They do work for watercolor as well, but my goal was to make them work for gouache. And I found over the years, especially last year when I started testing like a ton of different brushes, that I like longer, soft bristles because it allows me to layer gouache more gently, whereas stiffer brushes, you can kind of like scrub it. So that's a different strategy. That was the whole purpose. When they contacted me, I was like, so I get to design everything, like the hair density, the softness, and like literally whatever you want. It's like, yes, okay, I'm in. And it was right after I spent like 150 pounds on brushes, so I was like, oh my god. But it was worth it because all of that like helped me figure out what I love. So yeah, I have 3 or 4 different beta versions, and these are the finals. And each time I was like, okay, we have to change this by 1 millimeter, or this has to be slightly thicker, or something like that. And eventually we got there. It was a fun process, and they're hopefully going to be restocked at the end of February. That's the plan.
Oh, fantastic. Like loads of people are like, oh, I've either seen people get them or people like who just missed out on them and like, oh, will they come back? I was like, I have no idea.
Yeah. I wish I could have like, I've been holding off on saying anything because I wanted to know for sure before I was like, oh, they'll definitely be available this day. So for now, but my most recent message with them was they hope to be restocked by the end of February.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think the only thing that would change that is if there's some kind of crazy production delay. So let's hope that won't happen.
And will it be, is it like limited edition in terms of like once they're gone, or
that was the original plan. I think because I have never done it with them before, we kind of were testing the waters, and we wanted to do a very limited release at first just to see if it would sell, like if anyone was interested, and we found there were at least a few people interested. So we decided to do it again, and I actually forgot to ask how many we're releasing the second time. Hopefully more. But usually they do like a pretty big but limited amount, and then if you want more after that, they would just like design a new product. So I'm not sure. We'll see. I have ideas. I would love to do like a subscription box kind of thing with like monthly tutorial with supplies. But if I could do it with gouache, that would be like my ideal.
That would be amazing. I know Emma LaFave is
I
doing
saw
one.
that.
With watercolor, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I've noticed a few subscription type art things popping up online. I'm like, that's pretty cool. But I would have to ask like how it works if I get to pick the supplies. That would be my concern, is I want people to have good experience. So if what if the gouache sucks? I'll be devastated.
I mean, how she's done it, I think it's like they're doing a set of brushes. I think something like 24 brushes. So you get 2 brushes a month, and the watercolors are their watercolors. So that would be the only thing that I think would be, like obviously Craftum have shown that they can listen to artists and make good brushes. I don't know about watercolors or the paints and stuff.
I don't know. I have to look into that. But I mean, I've been testing a lot of gouache lately. The most recent one I've tested is, well, you saw the Arteza and the Caran d'Ache. Today I finished all of my Lightfast tests for all of the brands. The most recent one I did was the Miyahimi, and I have so much to say about it, but I'm gonna hold off.
Is it gonna crush me? I feel like you'll be like, it's trash.
No. I am so surprised by so many of the brands. Like,
really?
I can't wait and actually, maybe I'm giving away too much already, but out of all of the really cheap brands, Arteza is my favorite.
Really?
And I can't wait to talk about it. But what was I saying? Oh, I just finished testing all of them. So I know that it's possible to make really cheap, really good gouache. I just don't know how they do it, or if the company I would work with would be willing to try that, or what. So anyway, I'm completely messing this up because I'm not paying attention.
It's hard to talk, listen, write, read, really and paint at the same time. Like
this is what we're gonna do.
Hard. Which actually, like, Miss Ebony is actually a moderator on the chat. Thank you so much for doing that. It's super helpful. She's the one who's let everyone know to put a queue, which has made my life easier in terms of actually finding the questions. So yeah, thank you for easing my burden. Sarah! I did not see that coming.
People who used to watch my stream, they've seen me throw things across the room. I'm like, oh, this sucks. Throw it across the room, get a new canvas. Or I've like scraped an entire painting down because if it's not working, if it's not flowing, I mean, I could just do another one next to it. But yeah, anyway, I just feel like it's not worth wasting my time. Like I would rather just, if I see the vision happening in my head, I'm like, ooh, let's chase this idea instead.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's so carefree, and it's a sketchbook for me.
That's the other thing. It's a sketchbook. Who cares?
I like. It's taken me so long to, even now, if you were to look at my sketchbooks, there's next to no experimentation, which is why I have so many loose sheets. It's killing me. Yeah, I need to like break out of that, because for ages, I think like my very first sketchbook was like a Royal and Langnickel sketchbook that was £3. And I was like, oh, cool. So I thought like the Moleskine sketchbooks or anything that was more than £3 was crazy expensive. So I just wouldn't really use them for experimentation. I was like, I wouldn't experiment on my sketchbooks. It's a finished piece of art, but it's not. But baby steps.
I get it though. Like I think I have a few sketchbooks where I like made each page, I like taped it off and I did a nice painting and I was like, move on to the next page. But this sketchbook and a couple of my others are like my total who cares sketchbooks, just purely for learning.
I need to.
But it can be a little intimidating, like, or you want to leave the page looking nicer, or.
It's funny because I always feel like, I want it to look like really nice and finished and stuff. But then when I look at sketchbooks that I like people's like really messy, experimental, like, sketchbooks. I'm like, why can't I create anything like that? Trying to find my sketchbooks, but yeah, this is like my sketchbooks are like taped off.
Oh, so pretty. I completely understand though. I do that and I've used to do it more, but maybe it's just a matter of having one sketchbook at least that's really messy and that gets you into the habit of being like, oh, this is okay. I can scribble and just do whatever.
I think I started scribbling towards the end because was it this page? There was something. So this page. So this I painted in Kew Gardens and it started raining. So like the whole paint got messed up. And then so after this, I was like, well, the sketchbook is ruined.
I think it adds something fun to it. It's like a cool texture.
I was gonna paint over it, but then I was like, oh, I kind of like it, and it does kind of remind me. But because at the time I thought the sketchbook is ruined, it then meant that I could like experiment a little bit more. So at this point, I was like, I just need to finish the sketchbook. It's been years. Like I need to have a few more pages and I'm done.
Yeah, I mean that's okay. It's a sketchbook, like you said. I think maybe also because you're a YouTuber, if I can call you that. You do the YouTubes. Either maybe you feel pressure if you know you're going to share it in a sketchbook tour, that could be a part of it as well. Because I've had that too. And so maybe keeping a sketchbook that you know you'll never share, and that's going to be the one that you can totally experiment and play in. And if you end up sharing it, cool. If not, then
that's also cool. Yeah, no. For me, oddly enough, I think I think the internal tendency, to be fair, started before YouTube.
Okay.
Even with that £3 sketchbook, I was like, oh, it's precious. And then this sketchbook right here was the second one after that. It was the Moleskine sketchbook. That was like, I don't know, £15. And I was like, it's worth 5 times more than my other one. It's going to be absolutely pristine. And it's taken me years to finish it for that reason. But now I'm like, no, I'm done. Like it's taking too long, too much. And I like complete sketchbooks and I like messing around in sketchbooks. And I feel like people have followed me long enough to know what kind of art I make, so I don't even need to pretend anymore, I hope.
Oh yeah, I mean, do what you love, do what works, and it'll change over time, and you'll grow in some ways and change in other ways. And yeah, that's just keep it real, which I know you do.
And I think Astroglia was saying she was using your brushes last night for watercolor as well, and they were perfect.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I've used it a little with watercolor. I have, these are like the two main ones I use with the watercolor, but whenever I'm doing like something bigger, I also use my other bigger watercolor brushes and then switch to these for like the finer stuff. So I just figured, there's so many watercolor sets out there, but not many sets that are like pretty much dedicated or made to work for gouache, which is why I focused on that. Even though you can use a lot out there for gouache, it's just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Bobby says the lengths of the bristles is why they can't wait to order them. And then Michelle asks where they are available. And they're available on Craft Damo, but they're not out yet. They will be hopefully out at the end of February. And there's a link for it in the description, because I anticipated that would be a question. I hear left
You're
to
so
right.
nice. Thank you.
And Moni's saying loads of people are sad that they can't get them. But yeah, we will wait for them to come out. Paper Light Boy is asking, which brand of tone paper are you using?
This is a Stillman & Bird Nova sketchbook.
Okay.
Love it. I paint with it. I draw in it. It's like so good for mixed media. Even though it's a little bit thinner, like it doesn't matter. It just works great for everything I need it to do.
And I think they're saying Heinmuller is very expensive in Canada. Strathmore tan journals don't have the right paper weight. Would you recommend an alternative? So yeah, Stillman and Bird Nova Sketchbook.
Yeah, I love it.
I
did see quite a lot of comments about different gouaches, and I'm gonna wait until I completely I want to use all of them and do all the review paintings and really get a good feel for everything before I comment. But it's so tempting. Like I love talking about all this gouache.
I can literally hear you smiling. Like,
yeah. Let's gossip. I want to gossip. We should just do like a gouache gossip streams after.
We should. I really want to know. And then Moni is like, "Oh, damn, you look incredible. I can't stop looking. Thank you." I put on makeup specifically for this because I was like, "Oh, let me." I say makeup. I put on. What do you call this thing? Concealer. I was like, I don't have much foundation left, and I have one more outing this month, so I need to reserve that foundation. And Himimiya. I'm gonna say I like Himimiya gouache. I mean, I know it's not the best, but
I feel like if you start out with certain types of gouache, you don't mind those types of gouache. I sound like a gouache snob, but I'm just saying, like, it really does depend what you're used to. I think it depends on a lot of factors, but yeah, I'm being very open-minded when I go in and try them with, and I'm not trying to like have any expectations. So it's been fun, and yeah, I'm very surprised by a lot of them.
I find, because I started with Himimiya, and I think one of the biggest hurdles for me when it came to art when I first started off, that I've kind of alluded to already, was like cost. I was like, art supplies are so expensive. I don't even know how people don't talk about this. Like,
we just accept our fate. We're like, okay, I'm an artist and I spend all my money on this.
Yeah, like, you know, the stereotype of the starving artist. This is why they're starving. The art supplies are so expensive. So I was literally like trying to like save. I was just very conscious of it. So you get so much gouache for the price that it actually allowed me to like paint with it and experiment with it and enjoy gouache enough to then buy the Winsor & Newton set. And then when I bought the Winsor & Newton set, I did find it hard to go back to the Himimiya because I was like, oh, but the Winsor & Newton is so nice.
You get used to certain consistencies. It really, and like, especially if you paint with a certain consistency for a while and then you switch to a totally different one, you're like, oh, okay. How do I do this again?
Exactly. So
and like, I forgot I can never pronounce his name in my head, but he just posted a video today about Himimiya gouache. Alfei, oh my god, that's embarrassing. Does anyone know who I'm talking about in chat? Really huge YouTuber, amazing artist. He just posted a second video about Himimiya using it.
Know.
He also painted a movie scene. Alfei or Alpei Fei or gosh dang it.
Oh, wait. The name.
Did that ring a bell?
The name rings a bell, but I feel like it's one of those things that I've seen written and never.
Yeah, I've never really said it out loud, so I'm like, wait, what? So they just posted a video, which was, he's such an insanely amazing artist. There we go, it's in chat. I'll pay FA, which I'm probably I'm not saying that correctly.
Yeah.
I
don't know how to say that.
Such insane good art. And so anything he makes, no matter what he makes it with, looks good. But it's funny because he's saying how much he struggled with it. But it still works. Like, you can still do it if you put enough time and effort into it. You can still make a product like that work for you. But it really, like you were saying, coming down to consistency. If you get used to a different one and then you try to go back to it, that's the struggle.
Yeah, it's hard. And I think, like you said, you can do it. It may just be harder, or it may feel like you're working, like, I don't know,
It
you're
kind of
just
struck
fighting, you're troubleshooting more, basically. You're fighting with it.
Yeah. It's not as what I like a paint to do is just like allow me to do what I'm doing, what's in my head, instead of like figuring out the consistency and fighting against that. And it's like, oh, this is supposed to be opaque. Why is it transparent? That kind of thing. That really bugs me. But I mean, even then, you can still get used to it and figure it out. It's just you want to. Like, how much time do you want to put into this?
Well, that's the thing, because I think I started off with him. Well, I actually had something that was even worse than. I think I had Himimiya gouache first, so I just thought I knew it was cheaper, but I just thought that is what gouache is like, and it's fine.
No.
And I build up on layers, and and then I tried like another company by like another brand by The Works, which is it's a craft store for children. So I really don't know what I was thinking.
Okay.
I regressed, and with that one, I was like, okay, it's a struggle. And I actually did a comparison video on my channel. Whereas, like, yeah, I could do the paintings, but it was like different and it was hard to do. And then I tried Winsor & Newton, and I was like, what is this creamy, beautiful?
Oh, when you finally find one that you like, you're like, oh, this is amazing. I totally know what you mean. And I felt rage building up in me a minute ago when you started talking about trying some other brand that didn't work very well, because I just had the worst gouache experience of my life yesterday.
Oh, I saw it. Royal and Langnick.
Yes.
I was like, they must have broken you for you to feel so passionately.
I know, because I'm not like that. I'm not like someone who just rages about art supplies. But I genuinely felt like it made me hate gouache in that moment. I'm like, and it makes me so sad to think some people start out with that and think gouache sucks or think it's their fault, when it's not. It's the gouache. But then I found out they sell that at Walmart, and it's basically for kids or for like, I don't know. But I was like, so who cares? I'm gonna try it and like make it work, and it'll be great. And you know. Another goes to the affordable art supply team, and I just could not. I was like, Arteza is not that much more expensive than this. And this in Arteza is a million times better. I was raging.
Not only that, I think they sell it in correct me if I'm wrong, but Ryman's, you know how you can get like they have curated sets for artists.
Oh, I don't know.
And that's the one that I think it's a hard knock world out there, because if you're an art, like when I first started painting, I didn't watch any YouTube videos on it. I literally went to Amazon and I looked to see what had the highest ratings, and I bought that paint set, that watercolor set, and it was complete trash.
Yeah. And I looked it up on Amazon because I was like, I am gonna write a raging review about this, and then I'm gonna write to the company, and then I'm gonna write to the CEO. And I saw so many good reviews for it. I was like, what is happening? And then I'm like, okay, like some people have only tried this and they actually liked it, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna maybe eventually invest in something nicer, but that got them into it, so that's cool. So I'm not gonna rain on anyone's parade, but I just couldn't. It ruined my day.
No, I literally the one that I started with, like similar experience. I thought, okay, this is normal, and it was like a watercolor set, and I was just like, all my paintings were chalky. Everything just looked dreadful. Like no matter how hard I tried, it looked dreadful. And I was thinking back, and I was like, I really don't know why I didn't just give up painting, because when you look back on something and it's like the message that I would be getting is like, this is clearly not for you because this sucks. And for some reason, I instead decided to buy a different set, or maybe at the time I started watching YouTube, so I saw someone use like a Van Gogh set, and then I used it, and like the difference was so immense. It was unreal. And I was like, oh, it was just that the paints I was using were trash. It had like 1,500 reviews and 4.5 stars on Amazon.
Wow.
But I've never seen an artist or a YouTuber or anyone on Instagram use this brand. So it must just be like people who are starting off, trying to find out, what they should use, see how like affordable it is, buy it, color comes on the page, so they're like, oh yeah, this is great, as opposed to like actually I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that it was wrong. I was like, this is but yeah, so I can see why you were so frustrated, because there are some people that will literally be like, oh no, it's not for me, but I guess others will be like, oh
Yeah.
I
I
can
just
paint
wanted to root for it. I wanted to like it. I wanted to say, yes,
that.
there's a really, really cheap, good one out there that you can,
Yeah.
anyone can try it. Anyone can do it. So anyway, like Miyahimi, Arteza, even like those were way better, and they're still affordable. So it's still possible. It's like you can still try gouache and not spend an arm and a leg. But anyway, sorry for that tangent.
No, it's fine. I saw it yesterday and I was like, wow, they must have really upset you.
And I was, because I really wanted to give it a fair chance. I was like, okay, I'm going to do swatches. I'll do some mixing charts. I'll do a painting. But even a minute into the swatches, I was like, I am only doing this for the light fast test, and I'm not even going to waste my time. It was that bad. So I won't be doing a review about that one. Let's just say that.
I think not doing the review is a review enough. Like, it was so bad.
Yeah.
And let me see. Sorry, guys. Let me catch up. I don't like Kimimiya. I regret the purchase. No, I'm sorry.
I also, well, yeah, I won't talk about it. I'll wait until I do my video.
I'll skip the Himimiya question so that we can watch it.
Which reminds me, do you want my set of Miyahimi? I was thinking, well, once I'm done with the review and everything, I have so much gouache that's just gonna sit there, which is fine if it's in a tube, but that stuff you can't really reseal. So like,
yeah,
you know, I could package each one in cling film and then put it in there, make sure it doesn't spill, and then ship it.
You're gonna package each one by hand.
I would love it. Like,
I don't mind Himimiya gouache, so yeah, I would love that if you don't mind sending that.
I would happily do that. If you like it, if you use it, I mean, yeah, I would rather it be used than just sit there.
Yeah, if it's not going to worm its way into your heart.
I mean, I have. Okay, here.
She always, slave of Alice, she always wants to burn her stuff.
This is my backup Winsor Newton gouache. This is my backup. These are Schminke gouache. And I also now have like 10 other brands that I'm reviewing, and I didn't buy all the colors in all of those brands, but I still have so much that I'll be fine for like 3 years with this stuff. If I paint every day.
I have like loads of Winsor & Newton. I bought the Daniel Smith gouache. I haven't got it. So I bought it, and you know how Google can do that autocorrect thing when you like put something, I don't know if you have it set up. So if I put my name in, then it will fill out my address. And for reasons unknown, it ended up like auto-filling half of my address and half of my mum's address. And thankfully, Royal Mail realized that the address that was written makes no sense. So they actually like changed the postcode and sent it to my mum. So it's going to be a couple of weeks before I get it. But I'm excited to try that out and see how it is. I think I'll still love Winsor & Newton. And I haven't tried Schminke because it's so expensive and I don't want to fall in love with it. So
doomsday prepping with art supplies. Yes, I have a problem, and it's kind of OCD. Well, it literally is, but I buy things in 2s and 3s, like food, paint supplies, doesn't matter. I have to buy it in 2s and 3s, depending on what it is. I won't go into details, but like, it's an issue with art supplies for sure. You know, if it's really, really expensive, I'll try to limit myself to one, but you know, if I know I'm going to buy gouache soon, I'll save up until I can buy 2 or 3 of the one I want. Anyway, TMI.
No, I did the same with the when I started painting with like what's it called, 100% cotton watercolor paper. My thinking was like, oh, if I get 2, then I can't like I can use one because I have one spare. Like, I don't know. It was kind of like I bought one initially and then I was like, I wasn't using it. And I was like, oh, the way to use it is to buy another one so that I know I have a spare and then I can use that one. And then when I finish my first one, I can buy more. Like, but when it comes to art supplies, there's a lot of things that don't necessarily make sense. And I never thought I had OCD, but there's definitely some OCD tendencies when it comes to my art supplies.
Yeah, I could see that. I get your reasoning, which, I guess I'm not the best person to encourage anyone because yes, you absolutely need two of those.
It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh man, OCD is horrible, and I've gone to therapy for it, and over the years I've gotten better in some ways, but certain things bring it out in me. I've noticed in my recent, like the whole gouache comparison thing, my light fast test, all of that is bringing out the worst in me. But it's almost over. It's okay. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
That's a lot to take on for the test, Sarah.
I know. It all started with, I'm gonna try M-gram gouache. Oh, if I'm doing that, I might as well try Daniel Smith. Oh, if I'm doing, it just went from there. All right, I've been doing the same painting this whole time. So should I move on? Like, it's so funny when I stream because I'm like, how did I paint this?
Thank you. And you kind of like
point. What led me here?
Thank you, Estriclio, Karen Dash Gouache. I'm gonna skip some stuff over gouache because I feel like I'm tempting Sarah too much with the spoilers.
Okay. I'll probably end up saying everything on the stream. Go ahead, talk about it if you want.
I fell massively behind. Oh, question. Which gouaches have you used so far? Me, only 3. Himi Mia, Crawford and Black, like the one for children, and Winsor and Newton. And I've bought the Daniel Smith that I wanted to try out. I wanted to try out the Karen Dash, but I don't feel like I will like it.
Don't.
Okay.
My bad, I did it.
Thank you for the heads up. Yeah, I've seen it like swatched in other places, and I was like, I don't think I would like it.
Oh, if you want, I can send it to you actually. And then you can...
It's gonna be like a series of like Sarah Burns reviewed these gouache and hated them. Then Sketches.n.Scrubs reviewed these same gouache and also hated them. We're just gonna tank the stocks of the company.
Well, I don't know. Like again, it is a lot about what we're used to and what we like. Like the consistency especially makes a huge difference in gouache. So just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's horrible. It's just that for me, the experience didn't meet my hope or like didn't help me enjoy it, I guess. So
no, that's fair
but
enough.
actually no, don't buy it because it was extremely transparent.
That's the impression I got from the swatches that I'd seen.
Yeah.
I was like,
they need to work on that. Plus they don't tell you what colors are in it, the pigment numbers, as far as I recall. And the binder is a mystery. So you kind of don't even know what's in it.
Is it even gouache?
Or maybe that one was the vegetable one, but they didn't confirm like what exactly they meant by that. Because I've been emailing all of them to confirm, like, okay, online it says this. Is this, what exactly is it? I mean, I don't need the formula. I'm not going to make a competitive gouache. I just want to know, is it like, made from plants or petroleum or whatever?
They haven't told you. And let me see. Astroglio was so funny. She's like, I'm impressed that you go out so much. I need to clarify this. I don't normally go out at all. Like I don't think I'm an introvert. Or I didn't think I was an introvert. Maybe I'm an ambivert. Because I always thought like, oh, introverts are shy, and I'm not shy. But yeah, no, I don't like going out. And this month has been so tiring because I've been out 4 times, which is wild for me. 4 times in 6 weeks. But it's my sister, like this birthdays, and like my sister's been encouraging me to go out and stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll try and live life. But once that's done, and then once my birthday is done, I will I will be at home. Like I look forward to weekends
Oh,
like
do
this
we
where I'm just gonna stay
have
home.
similar birthdays?
My
I think I
birthday's in
remember
March.
huh?
My birthday's in March.
Oh, okay. I thought I
When's your birthday?
remembered something about this last year, but mine's at the end of February, so.
Oh, so we're probably in the same week. Because I think it was when I went to Venice for my birthday, and
Oh
it was
yeah.
around your birthday.
Yeah, okay. That's what it was. Cool.
We need a part. We need a part. Uh, it helps. It's super affordable. 10 or acrylic gouache. Gouache gossip. I'm here for it. Question for Sarah: is it a stay wet palette? Oh yeah. Are you using the
Oh
stay wet
yeah.
palette on the right?
Yeah, this one is. It's the Red Grass Stay Wet palette. I think it's called the version 2 or V2. They have a few different versions, but this is the newest one. So it comes with the sponge and the palette paper, and you just get it moist, and then afterwards I close it and seal it shut, and it stays wet between sessions.
Impressive. I'm just using a pad of palette paper, which part of me wonders, like, if I were to put this on top of a sponge, would it do similar, the same? I don't know. But I didn't tend to like
Yeah,
save
maybe.
it for ages.
I think it depends what kind of paper it is. Like some are made for acrylics and oils and they're not permeable. But this one, if you like flip it, they actually made it so moisture can like sit in the paper slightly. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, it is for, you can use it for acrylics and stuff too, but it doesn't like bleed through. However, water can get through. I think maybe it's like a one-way system.
Yeah, I'll try it. We'll see. I wanted to, well, I don't know. I'm still using the small palette that we have that I absolutely love. And let me see. Oh, I'm way behind in the chat because I'm seeing loads of people saying I'll pay fair. I'll pay fair.
Okay. If anyone has a new question or a question we missed, ask again.
Yeah, please.
Because we fell behind in the rantings. My fault.
It was my fault as well. Trying to paint along, but gave up. No, don't give up. Paint along.
You could always like zoom into one little section of the photo and try that if it's a lot of going, like it is a lot. There's a lot going on in this painting, in this photo. So sometimes zooming into one section is a good little practice.
And I'm gonna scroll all the way down. So if I've missed a comment, please let me know. Hi Pre-Raphaelite, congratulations on finally doing your Mishmore video. If the swatch cards were your design, they're great. Yeah, thank you. They were my design. Yeah, no, I love Remishable. The thing is, I loved their watercolor paints, and then they sent me their entire watercoloring, and now I feel like I'm in love with them forever. Like, if he proposed to me today, I might say yes. So I've done the favorites video. I will still do like a massive swatching video at some point. I just also had like loads of other videos to do that I wanted to do. So I didn't want it to all be like literally just Roman Schmoll. And then for weeks and weeks and weeks, I anticipate you guys want to see other things as well. So it's going to be a mixture of things, but I figured I would start off with the favorites. So if you haven't watched it, then watch that because it was nice to see everyone's favorites, mine included. Never heard of. Yeah, so Google, I don't know, it's like it fills out forms. So I put in my name and then it automatically puts in the address. But then I think because I changed my email address or something, it then one was linked to my email address, one was linked to my name, and thus it split the address. So it had the first line of my mum's address and then the postcode and everything else of my address. And I don't know how they figured it out. I don't know how it landed to my mum, but I was like on the phone to my mum and I was like, oh, I'm just going to like look around the neighborhood for my package because it hasn't arrived yet. And they said it's been delivered. And she was like, oh. I've received something today.
I hate when that happens.
Talking about? I know. Thanks for joining, John. Have a nice night.
Good night.
Nothing but love for Sarah.
Hi.
I have tire top. And loads of people have backups. Yeah, so you're not alone. Or we're not alone, rather. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to press down. Am I
Press down?
I
But
press
press
down, and I
thumbs
think
up.
it like goes down all the way down. But it doesn't actually. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit like, and if you haven't subscribed,
What's
then
wrong with
consider
you?
subscribing. we're 1 hour into the live stream. If you haven't subscribed by now, then I'm really not sure what more you want from us.
Let's do it.
Yeah, no, I love Roman Schmall. It's sad because I a lot of the prices on Jackson's have gone up. Initially I wasn't sure, but given that I spend way too much time window shopping on Jackson's online, I was like, oh.
That is a dangerous game.
I know, I can't help it. I'm literally just always there, like literally just watching, like scrolling through. Are there any deals that I haven't like noticed? And then like, I mean, I don't know if all this makes sense, but when you know how they do their sales on Fridays, they also like, I think because of the time difference, they sometimes release the sales a bit earlier. So sometimes I'll know what sales are coming up because I'm just randomly, pointlessly like strolling through the internet, through their site and be like, oh, this price has dropped. That's interesting. They're going to have a paper sale next, a Michael Harding sale next, so this sale next.
Wow, so you're the one that gets all the deals and I go and it's all sold out?
Yes, that would be me. No, I'm joking. Apart from with the paper sale, I was slow on that. Unfortunately, like I did manage to get a few things, but there was loads of stuff that was sold out. I was like, damn it. I've been waiting for this sale for months. And then when it comes, I don't know what I was doing last week. It must be work. Like something distracted me. Like I didn't realize it was Friday. I didn't dedicate my, time to like strolling and until I saw it on the website. And obviously by then it's late because everybody can see it by then.
Yeah, and I still always get there late. I guess it's because I did sign up for their newsletter, but I'd never get it, or I get it once in a while, and I see things too late. So,
No, on
I
a
do
Friday.
like the affiliate credit is the main reason I can buy so many supplies.
Yeah, no, their affiliate credit is quite great. It's what although when I looked at mine, I was like, okay, I have definitely spent a lot more than I have made through affiliate credit, through YouTube, through everything combined. It's actually ridiculous. Like I can't even make it make sense. But the heart wants. The heart wants. I can't help it. But yeah, I've been doing Ko-fi recently as well. Thank you for that. I had like a bit of a nightmare in
Ko-fi is great. Ko-fi coffee. What do you say?
I say Ko-fi because I feel like if I say coffee, people think like the traditional
An actual coffee.
So I'm trying to say it weird so that people are like, oh, why is she saying it like that? And then be like, oh, it's because it's actually spelled differently. But yeah, I tried it. I had like a nightmare with PayPal in that apparently I created my PayPal when I was 17 years old, which means that they realized now, over a decade later, and blocked my account. This was I'm sure people are like, why is she still talking about this? It was a lot of stress right before Christmas.
It's so stressful. It happened to me at one point too, so I get it.
Well, they permanently blocked it. And then when I was like, oh, I tried to get in touch with them, tried to explain, it's been over a decade. I was like, are you even sure that I created it? They were like, yeah, we can see that you created it in blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, fine. So they're like, no, it's blocked and there's nothing you can do about it. So then they were like, oh, just recreate a new one. So then I created a new one and it got blocked again because it said like you've entered details that are similar to a recently blocked account. So not only is it
Oh my
blocked, it's
God.
blocked and you can never get a PayPal again.
Oh my God.
I was like, but actually before this happened, and before this, when I created the new one, it worked for a few days. And then Kofi were like, oh, because you've changed your payment method, all your members have to re-sign up. So
Oh
none of
yeah.
your, yeah, so you have to start off all over again.
Oh my God.
And that was when I was like, no, this can't be happening. And then eventually, like, I told everyone, and they were like super supportive, and a lot of
Yeah.
people rejoined. Some people left, fair enough, but they rejoined. And then after that, the second one got blocked, and I was like, nah, I'm done. I'm leaving. I can't deal
What
with
a
this.
nightmare.
But eventually I spoke to someone who was really, really nice. And she was like, oh, I can understand. I can empathize with everything that you're going through. I know that they said that this is permanent, but I'll try and appeal on your behalf. And she appealed it. And now it's back up again.
Wow.
So,
That's frustrating.
yeah, it really has.
I've
But
had bad
about
experiences with them too. I try to use them as little as possible
what,
because
PayPal,
yeah.
mm,
Yeah. But
I can see why, because
a
and
lot
it's,
of like online stores and those types of things use
yeah,
PayPal. So like, well, so as soon as I get money in there, I try to withdraw it so it's not just sitting there and just in case. Because back in the day when they froze my account, it was like 2,000 or 3,000, and I've
whoa,
heard that happening to many artists. So I was like,
yeah,
oh, okay, from now on, I'm not keeping any money in there.
because I'd seen, I think, a video by Minnie Small like years and years ago, and
Yeah,
she was talking
I was
about,
just thinking of that one too.
yeah, she was talking about like how they blocked her account and she hadn't got her money back at that time. And as they were like, before they blocked this account, they were acting a little bit funny. Like they'd sent me an email, but then I don't know, they'd sent me an email saying I needed to send ID, but then when I went online, there was nowhere to do that. And then I like got flashbacks to that video. So I withdrew everything, and 2 minutes
Oh,
later it got blocked. And they said, where
oh my
any
God.
money that's in the account will hold for 180 days.
Um,
But thankfully it was empty. So now I have daily withdrawals um, from there because I can't deal with that. But
that is just so frustrating.
yeah, honestly, it was just so unreal.
Oh, I saw a question in chat about Winsor Newton tubes lasting. For me, it is a consistency thing, I think.
Mm.
It's how much you paint, it's how much water you use versus not using water. Once or twice a week, 5 to 7 inches size painting. That's like a fair bit of painting, but the paintings aren't big. So I would, I don't know. Because I have had a lot of my tubes for a really, really long time, years. But I think it's because I do water down my first layer or two sometimes, and then that will make the paint last longer. I use the thicker paint on the top layers, but it could just be that you're using relatively thick paint for everything, and then you're going through it faster than me. So
Yeah. For me, I think the intro set that I bought, I buy 2 intro sets a year, so I'm using probably the same amount that you are. I tend to do slightly bigger paintings, and I start off really light, but then I get really thick. So I do use quite a bit of gouache.
you might be painting too thick, but maybe not. Like, I guess next time you paint, really look at how you're doing it. Are you layering it on and then adding another layer on top and then another layer on top? If so, then maybe you can kind of adjust your approach. Excuse me. So instead of painting always on top of itself, you're painting like this one tree I just did. I've kind of been painting like colors next to colors. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does
And
make sense.
I layer as well. But if you're always layering a lot of paint, you will definitely go through it faster.
Yeah, no, I layer a lot.
But I know that's like a hard thing to change though when that's like a really big part of your workflow, right? So
yeah.
that will take some adjusting if you want to.
And be like, I don't. To be fair, I don't mind. Yeah, I'm always up for trying something new and seeing. Because I
Yeah.
guess with watercolor, I don't tend. It's odd. So with gouache, I layer loads, and then with watercolor, I don't layer at all, or I layer like very little.
Yeah.
And then Patricia is saying it was worth the rejoin. Thank you. Honestly, you guys don't know how happy you made me by rejoining. Like I couldn't even believe it. I was a complete drama queen. Thank God for my mom. He was like, calm down, I'm sure people will be fine. I was like, that's it, it's ruined. People think I'm unprofessional. This is unacceptable.
Aw.
It's over. I'll
It
never
just
be able
shows
to
how
show
much
my
you
face. Yeah, no, I was really, really upset by it. She was like,
Aw.
I think it will be fine. And then when I told, like, I was like, guys, I understand if you don't want to come back. And, you know.
Yeah, I get that though. Having tried many platforms over the years, I have definitely been in situations like that. And it's not fun because you want to, you try to build trust with people. And if
Yeah.
it's not even your fault if something happens with the platform, or, you know, so many things could go wrong and it makes you look bad and it just sucks.
Yeah. Because I had like a similar issue with Etsy where they blocked. I don't know why they keep blocking my account, like really and truly. Like I don't know what's going on. But they also did the same. And then that had me thinking like, if I think that was why I started my mailing list, because you know, you keep getting told like have a mailing list or you have no control over these platforms. You know, if they change their mind or they stop showing your work, your whatever, you'll have no control over it, kind of thing. And it never really sunk in until like this got blocked for absolutely no reason. I was like, wow, I really have no control, no way of getting in touch
Yeah,
with
that's scary. They want to see your painting.
I want to see. I think they said they're lost in your brushstrokes, and I can see why. It's beautiful.
I don't know what's going on.
I think it's so nice.
Thank
It's
you.
very stylized.
For sure. It's like really, really stylized. I think I'm just like testing different color mixes next to each other and making mental notes as I go. So that's another way you can do a study. If you don't want to paint the whole scene, you can like, you know, hone in on one tree and or paint a couple versions of each tree just to see
what you like best.
Yeah, just play with different options.
Loads of people saying they try and avoid PayPal. Yeah, no, with good reason, because it was an absolute nightmare. Humdrum, hey Humdrum, is painting along as well. And let's see. Oh, Sketches, can you see my painting? I'll show you my painting real quick. Can you see it? Can you see what I mean by layering? Like, oops. All this here in the background. Layer, layer, layer. No, thank you. Yeah, like I think the reason it's fresh in my memory is that I've just done I keep calling it a podcast, but it's not a podcast. I made a video for Kofi where I'm doing like a real time painting, but I'm just chatting. And you know how on Patreon you have your ramble cast? I love listening to those. So I was like, oh, let me just like chat, no excessive editing, just like talk and give an update. And in that update, I was basically talking about it being resolved. So it's very fresh in my mind. I finished doing that at 3 a.m. this morning. I think the older you get, the more relaxed you feel with your work. Yeah.
I think it's more, well, maybe that, but also the more you paint, like that really does make a difference.
Thank you. Yeah. Temple saying, yes, if I learn anything about online business side of art, is have a mailing list. Seems like a life preserver.
Yeah.
I agree.
I started that way too late. Also, I'm so bad at sending newsletters. I'm like collecting names, but hardly ever sending it.
Me and you
But
both. I
yeah,
kind of said, like, when I created it initially, I was very clear about the fact that I won't spam and I won't like send
yeah.
like letters just for the sake of sending. So if I have something to say, then I will send it. But
Mhm.
for now, it's very, very sporadic and infrequent because you see me so much on YouTube anyway. So like it's yeah, no. And I keep forgetting to like mention it and to link it in places and stuff. But at least
Mm.
I've tried to start because yeah, you don't really
It's a
have
good
that
thing
much
to have
control
for
over it.
sure. You never know when like YouTube or Instagram or any of them are just going to disappear or completely change. What if all of a sudden they're all subscription based? What
Yeah,
if they change everything and no one likes them anymore and they stop using it? It's like
yeah,
that's the scary thing about not owning your content in a way, or like
yeah,
where you share it. So that's why I started heavily focusing on my website and my blog and not really sending newsletters, but like collecting names for it. It's
yeah.
like just in case. But I love blog posts, so I'm like, that part's okay. I don't mind. I don't feel like that's really work, extra work.
Mm.
It's just for some reason, newsletters, it seems so official and like bothering people. Like,
Yeah,
I definitely don't want to spam people.
yeah, that's how I feel because I'm like, oh, I did ask like, oh, what would people like to hear, to see, to kind of like, get in newsletters and stuff. And people are like, oh yeah, just general updates. But like, and no disrespect to myself, but my life isn't really that interesting. So it's not even like I have any crazy wild updates to like send. So yeah, I just reserve it
Well,
for like really um I feel like it can't even just be like one news, like, it should be more like multiple things. So I just reserve it
mm,
for if I have a whole bunch of things, I'll say.
yeah,
But then also more than that is just a way to not lose touch. Because like you said, anything could change at any point. I mean, here we are with
yeah,
Instagram, that's no longer a photo sharing, blah blah blah. And that completely
yeah. It
turned.
suddenly changed. Yeah, I follow a artist named Brenda Swenson. She's amazing, and she does a newsletter once a month, and it's so chill. It's like a short newsletter. She shares one or two paintings or one thing she's been up to, and then like a little personal note at the end. And it's really short. It doesn't take long to read it, but I just love. It feels like checking in with her, even though she does share some YouTube stuff sometimes.
I think
She's
I've
not
seen a
like
few.
always online, so
Yeah.
yeah, like that kind of thing is really nice. And I'm like, maybe I should try to be less official about mine, but I still can't bring myself to do it. Maybe I just need to like set a schedule and just stick to it no matter what, even if I'm not feeling confident in it.
I think if you do it, people will read it. I do like Brenda's videos. I think I've seen like she has like
Yeah.
sketchbook tours.
Yes,
It's
the
like
illustrated
really,
sketchbook course and
yeah,
one sketchbook tour. She's so creative with her sketchbooks. I love them.
yeah. I've
She's
seen
actually the reason I started buying Silman and Burn. I was like, oh, those are actually really
it.
good. Like, I mean, obviously she's an amazing artist, so she can make it look good. It's not like I thought I would instantly be able to do something if I bought it. It's just like it showed me it's quality wise what you
Yeah.
can achieve if you practice in them. So I'm so glad because I love the Nova. This one that I'm using now, the Nova, is just
Mm.
my all-time favorite now for like mixed media, that is.
I do that as well though, in terms of like looking at artists. When I see what they use, I'm like, huh, looks like I am adding that to my wish list for my next shopping haul.
Yeah,
And like
I know.
realistically, I know it's not the same. Like I know, that's not, you know, like it's the artist years and years and years of training. But in my head, part of me is always like, huh,
Yeah,
maybe
I know what you're saying.
I should use that too. Cynthia's asking, what are some good tone sketchbooks? So Sarah's using the Stillman and Burn Nova series tan
Yeah,
sketchbook.
yeah. To
Um,
be honest, I've actually had. Oh, okay. Let me show you. Okay, this one. This is a craft. I guess what they call a craft notebook.
Yeah.
And if I open it, it's generic paper.
It's stunning.
Pretty, like, I don't know if you can see. It's not that thick. It's like maybe 90-pound thickness. But it's a little bit darker, I found, than this one. If you can see, like, the difference, it's a little more orange, a little more dark. And I think I've shown these paintings on my YouTube channel before, so it's not like new, but
they're incredible. Like,
so I think this was 3 pounds or something like that at the craft store. Like, you don't have to spend a huge amount of money, and it's spiral bound, which is really cool too, because you can flip it over on itself and take it outside, and it's a little more like, you can put it on your lap a little bit easier than a big sketchbook. So highly recommend just checking out your local craft store just to see what they have. It's got this funny little like tie, which I don't really love, but it's maybe some people like that kind of thing.
It looks like a sketchbook from the works.
Okay. It doesn't have a name on it. It's nameless. So I don't know. I can't say, but just check it out in your local craft store. I think as long as it's thick enough, you can really use it for it. I guess if you like water, although would you use watercolor on a toned? You probably wouldn't use watercolor on a toned sketchbook, right?
No, I would. There are some. Yeah, there are some that are like toned and really nice, but I wouldn't. But I think it depends on the paper. Sometimes if they have like no sizing at all, then it like just goes through the paper and isn't great. But if it can handle it, why not?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Patricia saying she's learning a lot and enjoying the stream. I'm glad.
Yeah, this is fun.
Now, guys,
thanks everyone for hanging out with us. It's crazy how fast time goes when you stream, though.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just like I looked up, was like, what? How has it been an hour and a half or something?
Yeah. Like my streams do tend to like go on and on and on and on, trying to like get a bit better.
If you're just for us, it's more of like chill chat streaming, which if you're doing a tutorial, it's kind of different because there's a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
This kind of thing, you just like, we could just talk forever. And
exactly.
And my husband stays up really, 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 really late, like 5 a.m. kind of late. So there's no one that's going to be like, quiet down, I'm sleeping. Like I'll suddenly realize, oh, it's late.
Yeah, no, I'm nocturnal. I keep trying to fight it and it's unreal. It's such a bad habit. I've been watching I keep now getting suggested. I feel like YouTube knows, Google just tracks all these things and it's like, why are you always awake at the most ridiculous of hours? So I keep getting recommended things on like morning routines and night routines, sleep hygiene. I'm like, I get it. My sleep is trash. I will work on it.
Oh man, there's a channel I watch that I don't mean this in a bad way, but it makes me fall asleep. But I can watch it during the day and I love it. But it's Martin. Okay, here's another one that I can't pronounce. Martin. Here, I'm gonna look it up. DeJorland.
I don't know Martin.
That he's renovating a cabin in Italy, and it's like very beautiful shots of him just like with the Alps behind him, and he's renovating, and it's so I watch a ton of those types of videos, but it's so calm and peaceful, and he sometimes talks to the camera but usually not, and you just are like a fly on the wall in a way, and it's mostly outside as well. So that kind of thing is great to have on if you just want to really wind down, but you still want to watch something.
Yeah, I might try it. I think because I keep telling myself I can't have a morning routine until I have a night routine. Like no point having a morning routine if you fall asleep 10 minutes before you're meant to wake up.
Oh God. I honestly don't. I mean, I know you have crazy hours at the hospital, right?
Yeah, I think that's not helping because it takes me like 2 weeks to recover from a night shift in terms of like
Oh,
after a night shift, it's probably 2 weeks after then I can sleep through the night normally. Um, so
wow.
and then I have night shifts every other month. So basically like I have a night shift and then I recover 2 weeks later and then I have like 3 weeks of normal
Oh my
sleep and
God.
then another night shift. So it's almost like why fight it?
That is, wow, that must be so hard.
Right. To be fair, I was a night owl before, but it's definitely gotten worse. So yeah, as per Google's recommendation, watching lots and lots of videos on having a nighttime routine and going to bed, and we'll see.
Mm,
New year,
yeah.
new me. um, Moni's saying, "I envy all you artists with business skills. I don't even feel like I have business skills per se, but I would like to. I would
I love
really like
that. Yeah, definitely a trial and error thing for me anyway.
to.
I think especially with being an artist these days online, like it's constantly changing,
Mm,
and you as a person and as an artist are changing, and you might not always want to do the same thing forever. So it's just a very fluid thing, I think. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe
mm.
it's just me. like getting used to one thing, you can get really good at it, but do you really want to do it forever? Maybe you want to try
Yeah,
something else. But then if you try that other thing, it's like starting over almost. You're So I always feel like I'm starting over.
yeah. I remember you did a video kind of talking about social media putting you in a box, and I was like, that's how I feel. I feel like
Oh,
if I
so
do something like completely different, business or YouTube or anything related, then it is like starting over, and it is confusing for all involved. But at the same time, I like doing loads of different things.
yeah. When you like doing a lot of different things, that makes it even harder. I mean, but there are a lot of people like that out there. You just have
Mm.
to find them, or they have to find you, and yeah, make it works eventually. But social media.
I know. We
There's
have
a
a lot
topic
to
for a
do.
rant stream.
I know. We have a love-hate relationship. A lot of hate, but kind of some love. I guess, if it weren't for social media, I would have never met or seen you. Um
Yeah, I mean, I get I do like that side of it as well.
mm. But then
We discover a lot.
through it. And then Moni, I don't mind showing you how to do all that stuff in terms of like affiliate links and what else did you say? Affiliate or do mailing lists. Yeah, I could show you how to do that. I use ConvertKit to do my mailing list. As I said, I think I've sent one newsletter out, so
Mm,
perhaps I'm like I can show you what I know. But I wouldn't say I'm a guru at it. And I can show you how to do affiliate links as well. Because it is helpful. Like it really does make a difference.
mm. There's so many different. There's a lot of different advice online as well, business advice and
Mm.
different strategies, and I think artists, we're in a different world. Like if you look up business strategies, it's usually not related to artists.
No.
So it's so cool when artists actually share strategies or thoughts about this online. Like in studio vlogs, you hear it sometimes,
Mm.
and yeah, it's like piecing all the things together. Start with what you love doing, and if there's a way you can monetize part of what you already do and what you love doing, that's usually the best way to go. If you love painting and don't mind sharing it, like you can start sharing it on YouTube or social media, and that's like the first step. And then if you love teaching, that's a whole different side of it.
Mm. I was gonna ask actually because I know I saw all the mess with Skillshare like changing their payment like setup, which kind of meant that you and other teachers have lost like a lot of income. Even Tio did a video on it, and he said his income dropped by over 50%. I think he said like 60%. And then they sent an email. Well, in that video, Tio showed an email basically saying like, oh, they've sent an email to say that they've changed it again.
Yep.
Has that made any like positive
No.
impact?
No. Yeah, but I experienced the same thing pretty much overnight. Like in 1 month, from one payment to the next, it was almost half of what I made before. And they really only gave us like a month or two warning that this was going to happen.
That's ridiculous.
And then since then, every single month, they're like, oh, now we're going to try this, and now we're going to try this, but it's not in any way helping us. It's all about their engagement. They're like constantly trying new ways to get people more engaged on the platform, which I totally understand. Don't get me wrong. Like, obviously they want people to stay on their platform, and they keep wording it in a way where it's like, this will benefit you if you're more engaged, but there's like really nothing we can do at this point. Like, unless you make a new class every month or more, which is extremely difficult if you do a lot of other things as well, you like the engagement side of it doesn't make a difference, because they're like, engagement can be someone leaves a review on your class. Okay, I have no control over that. Engagement can be you respond to comments. Okay, well, I'm waiting for people to comment or post a thing. Like, you can't force anyone to do those things. And so unless you're also constantly posting new classes, or like maybe soon they'll come out with other ways to engage, I have no idea. It seems like they're just trying to constantly make up new ways. It's just that currently we're all just sitting around waiting and kind of losing money as we go. I mean, it's not like we all put a ton of work and effort into making those classes initially. Nothing changed in that way. It's just they decided they were going to suddenly change their payment structure and how everything works. So it just feels really disrespectful in a way to all the work we've already done.
Yeah.
Because so many of us were really, really, really invested in it before. And for that to just happen like overnight, it's like, oh, okay. Do I really want to devote this much effort, this much time, 20 hours a week into making classes in a platform that will just suddenly overnight
change everything
and basically screw a lot of people? And felt really bad from a creator's point of view.
Yeah, because in Tio's video, you could tell that he was upset, and he showed the graph, and he's like, literally, you see it, like normal. And then I think like September, October, it just like dropped. And then he was like, this isn't even, because I don't know, is he in Singapore? I think because he's in Singapore, or whichever country he's living in, they don't have a treaty, so he has to pay 30% tax on that, and then pays extra tax when it comes. And he's like, overnight, with, like you said, next to no warning, everything completely dropped, and you have no say, you have no control over it, and it's just doesn't make sense.
If you are still making classes a lot, again, like that does help, but it was more of the fact, like it kind of woke me up to what kind of platform they are, and like I really don't want to invest any more time and effort into something that I have no control over, that did that to us basically, and it just put a really bad taste in my mouth. And I don't know, I would rather pursue my own thing than go down that route anymore. So I'm not taking my classes off, because it still brings in a ton, like some money, but it's not going to be like my main thing. I'm not going to push it anymore. So yeah, it sucks. And I know a lot of people were way worse off than me who did rely on it for most of their income, and then just suddenly had to change everything. It's like, it was kind of a big chunk of my income for a while, but I never made it like my full thing. So I was safe in that sense, but some people did, and that's like, I don't know. It sucks. Yeah, it sucks.
It sucks. Yeah, that's the way. That's
but
pretty much
it is an eye opener for like, you can't trust anyone. You can only trust yourself and your own. Like, you have control over your website. You can newsletter, we already talked about all that.
Mm.
You can only really rely on yourself in that sense. That doesn't, I mean, I don't want it to sound
No, but it's true.
negative. I'm just saying, like, you know, you're the one in control of those things. And if you, and Patreon as well, like, you know, technically Patreon could change overnight as well. And suddenly everything is different, but they still are at the moment, like one of the more free ones where you build your own audience, you bring everyone there for your thing. And like, it's, they're pretty hands off. You know, there's not even there's a search button, but it's not great. Like you don't go to Patreon and like find people. Like you go directly to a creator.
They make it hard to do that. Actually, sometimes I was like, oh, is there anyone else? And it's like it's really hard to, unless you know exactly who you're looking for.
So very, very they're pretty hands off. They just provide this platform for you to be able to do your thing, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a safer route in the sense that you don't really rely on them except to keep the platform in existence.
Yeah.
But I really want to build my own membership website. That's what I'm focusing on this year because I'm sick of relying on others that will suddenly change. And like, it just scared me so much that I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to like reevaluate where I'm going with my classes and all that.
That's exciting. I heard you mention it on Patreon, but I didn't want to say anything just in case it was going to be a surprise. But I've kind of, I mean, I've been wanting to do it for ages. It's just, this was like another catalyst. I was like, okay, time to start working on it. Time to start thinking about it. Time to push forward. And so just waiting for March and everything in terms of like, it won't launch in March, but that's
that'll just be when I start actually being able to work on it because I'll have an assistant. AKA my husband. Yeah, which I've mentioned a little bit, mostly to my community. I actually don't know if I've mentioned it on YouTube yet, but here we go.
I think you have.
My husband quit his job and he's going to be my assistant. It's going to be pretty awesome to be able to do so many things now.
Aww. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it because I follow like with Patreon, obviously, I don't know, sometimes it feels clunky. Like I don't know if it's me or I don't know if it's Patreon. Like I miss a lot of stuff.
Patreon.
I miss a lot of stuff on there. I'm just like, oh, okay, this happened. Oh, okay, that happened. And like I think that's one of the reasons that I like the like Ramblecast, because then I can like you know how you do posts where you kind of say this, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, because then I have a better idea of what I've missed, if anything at all. But
yeah, it's not the greatest platform, but it's been great. Like it's been one of my main sources of income. But again, like you put all your own work into making it grow. So yeah, I'm so grateful it exists for me to be able to do that, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I hope it continues on because it does help a lot of creators make a living. I listen to a podcast / YouTube channel called Creator Support by Colin and Samir. It's a really good channel for anyone who wants to grow as a creator in any niche. But it's so good. And they interviewed Jack Conte, the CEO or one of the owners of Patreon, a few times actually. And more recently again. And it was just so interesting and good to listen to, because I always wonder, like, what are they thinking behind the scenes? Like, are they going to change it soon? Are they going to, like, you know, is it going to last? But they're really still devoted to it and want to continue it and help people grow. So that's awesome. It's just, yeah. Anyway, I'll let you guys listen to it.
No, I will.
It is a little clunky and it's a little hard to use, and it's like, yeah, but it's got its perks, I guess I should say.
Yeah, no, I went with Ko-fi, to be honest, because initially the fees were lower, and then because they were like changing, they seem to like really be into, I guess because they're newer, they seem to like be listening to like creators and trying to change things, and it feels
I love them.
a little less funky. Yeah.
I didn't know about them till really pretty recent, and I was like, wow, I wish I knew about them years ago.
I think you told me about them, you know. I think you're how I kind of, because I'd heard of like Buy Me a Coffee, but I think you'd like mentioned it and I was like, oh, okay, cool, let me check it out. And then when I compared the two, I was like, okay, well, I guess why not? Let me start it and kind of see where it kind of goes. And
Yeah, I think someone in my Discord mentioned it to me. I was like, what is this? Oh my God, it has like no fees if you pay the very
yeah,
low yearly rate. And I'm like, okay. Like it's so good. But I had already spent 5+ years growing my
yeah,
Patreon. I'm like, I did consider completely switching over to Ko-fi for a while. And I'm like, it would be
really,
a lot of but once I even thought of the idea of using or making my own subscription platform, I'm like, I can't confuse people that much by going from like Patreon to Ko-fi, then my own thing.
yeah,
I'm like, that's the struggle. So yeah, I just kept up with Patreon.
yeah. And I think ultimately the way to go would be having your own site, like you said, having control over it and just be
Yeah,
able to do what you want.
but it's terrifying because like well, I don't know if it's any different than Patreon, really. It's just a matter of, oh, this is why it's terrifying, because I spent so many years pushing everyone to Patreon.
Yeah,
Now how many hundreds of videos am I going to have where I'm like, if you like this, go check out Patreon. And then
yeah.
is it going to, am I just going to use it as like a cheap, like a $5 per month archive, or am I going to delete it? I don't know. That's the thing that scares me because it's a pretty big
Yeah.
part of my business up until now.
I think it depends on if you'll move your content over.
Oh, right. Yeah, I want to move my favorite stuff over to the new one,
Okay.
but like not
Because
everything.
you could have like, what just one post that basically says this is my new Patreon. So because you tell people like check out my Patreon is linked down below, and you could literally say this is the new Patreon link, which is actually my website, and then they click on it and kind of
Right.
follow it. And then, or if they manage to like search you up on Patreon literally to find it, then it could be a post to say this is the new, I've moved my Patreon community to here. Or like you said, you could leave it as an archive, and people can still have access to that as well. But the world is your oyster. I think the clear message from your post was like, wherever you go, we will follow. So it's fine. No one is actually on Patreon, for Patreon. You're literally on there for the creator. It's not like you
Yeah.
get other perks from being there.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of options, but at the moment I think in the last few days, I mean, going back to the gouache thing, it's just consumed my life. The last few days, I think I've swatched hundreds of colors, if not more, because of the light fast tests as well. Because
wow.
with the light fast tests, I also did actually have some here, tints, because some colors are less light fast in tints. So I mixed it with white as well.
Yeah.
And this is the one that's staying in the dark, and the others are already in the window. But all of that with all the brands, and it just took
A lot
forever.
of work. I have to swatch out the Roman small paints. Not have to, I want to, but I must admit part of the reason it's taken so long is because I'll have to write out all 180 names and all 180 like pigment numbers and like start swatching them out. I'm like, it is going to be mammoth. So I'm gonna try and do it in bits like by colors so it's not too overwhelming. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely.
I used to do the big square charts,
Color
super
mixing one.
crisp, and they're so pretty too. Like it's hanging on my wall right now. This was the last one I did, and it
How do
just
you
makes me
get
happy.
the like super white lines between them? Are you just like
I drew everything with like a really light blue pencil. You can kind of see, and then painted everything, and then with a really thin white Posca pen, I used a ruler and I traced over it.
wow. That looks so satisfying to look at.
Yeah,
I could
I
never.
painted it very carefully so they were individual squares, not taped off, because you can kind of see if you look close up, like they're not perfect.
Yeah, but from far they look perfect.
But from there, it's like fine. But it's so pretty to look at. So I don't even use half of these colors anymore. And I'm like, now this is the kind of chart I make. Because it's, I mean, it is still really useful. This is watercolor anyway, but you know, you see like full yeah, I could go on and on about charts.
No, fair enough. I never have the patience to do those. I think I tried to do it once and taped off. See, you get all the information you need from there.
Yeah.
Who am I missing? Hey, Paolo. Hey, Moni. Loads of people are talking about like night shifts and how they recover afterwards. They just mess you up so bad, man.
My painter looks.
Oh,
one clean one still. It basically looks like muddy water.
Yeah, I can't. You can see mine.
But like I said, my water source is downstairs. So when I'm in my little office, I have this giant water bucket, so I don't have to constantly go down. And it has 3 different, you know, things in it, so I can like use one, make it really dirty, then use the next one when it's clean. And
no, it's clever. It's a clever design. I've got.
Can you make your screen bigger? Because I want to see your setup.
My setup is with this blanket that's currently being secured, and then water here, and then a spare water here. I don't know why I haven't been using that. And then my paints here and palette. What do you call it? Palette paper on the side. So nice and simple.
So you're just spraying your gouache once in a while, or are you just letting it dry out?
No, yeah. I keep forgetting to do that.
Well, you've been painting with it, so I guess it's been fine.
I keep saying like, oh, it's when I get airtime, but really and truly, it is that I keep forgetting to do it. But I added quite a lot of water beforehand because remember I let it like dry out completely, so I reconstituted it. But yeah, I just leave it open and then dip in and out, and if it gets dry, I add water. But more times than not, I tend to forget, which until the end.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see channel.
I've been trying to keep up with chat, so I keep like neglecting my painting. But
I think we've like delved into true crime, which I don't watch, so I can't add anything to it.
I haven't watched. Yeah, I don't watch that either or listen to it, but I know a lot of people love it.
Yeah. I stopped. I used to love crime dramas, and I still kind of do. But now that I live on my own, they kind of hit different. So I'm just like, I'll watch something a little bit happier. I applaud you for being so focused and business savvy. Don't know who that's to, but if it's thank you. Thank
probably
you.
both.
I don't feel business savvy at all. I do enjoy like. So it's funny because my sister's an entrepreneur, like she has her own business, my mum has her own business, my brothers have their own business. And I was always like, oh yeah, no, I'm not entrepreneurial, I'm not business savvy, I'm not like into it. But I don't know, YouTube does kind of bring out that side, even though it's not a business per se. Or it is, I don't know. I feel like it's too soon to call it a business because I'm not really making money from it. I need to be making money first.
You're laying the foundation. That's what I would say.
Nicely put. But yeah, no, it's like it's fun. Like I enjoy, you know, thinking about things like how to make it sustainable and, you know, working with brands and collaborations and things.
Just don't sell yourself short. That's my advice with that.
With what?
It's hard to resist offers, I think, especially when you first start out. But if you think of the longevity of your videos on YouTube, especially, people may be watching them for years to come. And yeah, it's just I personally have been extremely lowballed by companies before, so I know that it happens to a lot of people. And I'm sure people accept offers that are really, really low for a lot of things.
No, I definitely do and did. There was a point in one of the newsletters that I was going to do, but then I was like, this is just so depressing and down, was just basically talking about how working with some brands genuinely like starts eroding self-worth. Like that's the best way
Yeah.
that I can put it, because they have like they seem to have next to no respect for the craft, the effort, the
Yeah.
work, your time, just you and what you have to offer as a whole.
Yeah.
And it's almost like us giving you this £10 paint. Why wouldn't you want to work 20 hours for it? Like, I'm not even joking.
Right.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
and you just
Oh,
start questioning, like, oh, maybe it's normal, maybe it's fine, and it's like, it's
it is
actually
normal
not.
and it's not fine.
Yeah,
That's like it is, and you'll get the most random like I think I mentioned this in my little Ramblecast thing, but like
yeah.
people messaging me, we saw your YouTube videos and we love them. We would love to collaborate you with this new wrench set. I'm like, I
Why?
just like look,
Why?
like the temptation is to be super cheeky and
Yeah.
respond, and but I know I just delete it. Honestly, I like can't even put any extra minutes into that. So, but you'll get so many like that the more you do it, and you just have to.
Mine,
Obviously, I'm not going to tell anyone what to do, but just think about your time is extremely valuable.
yeah. And I
That is,
think my ones thus far, to be fair, have been like art supply brands. And at first I was like, oh, it's fine because they just, I don't know, there's not much money in art supplies and blah blah. But one, that's not true. And two, like I remember I had one and that kind of got in touch and was like, hey, we have this paint set that we would like for you to review. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what I charge. And then they were like, no, we're not in a position to pay. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. Like depending on what it is, sometimes I do like quite often I do free ones. So you know, what did you have in mind, basically? Like, okay, you can't pay, but what did you have in mind for this collaboration? What did you want to get out of this? And they're kind of like, oh, so we're going to send you this paint set. It's currently £16 on Amazon. Within 1 week of receiving it, we will need you to have done a review to swatch it out and to recommend it. I was like,
wow.
yeah, no, it's not gonna work. They're like, why? I was like, I don't even do that for paid. For paid. Like I have a full-time job. I'm actually like,
Yeah.
like how
Oh
can
my
you have
gosh.
you're not paying? How can you have the cojones to be asking things like this and you're not even paying? Like I'm just so confused.
Yeah. Wow. That's.
They're like, oh, perhaps you misunderstand. This is just typically what other people do. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, I appreciate that, and that's fine. I can't do that.
Hmm.
And then they got in touch again, like a little while later, and they were like, hey, would you like to collaborate? And I was like, well, I am still not going to do it in a week. And they were like, yeah, no, that's fine. Do it in your own time. Fine. They said they sent it. I never received it. So they emailed me and they were like, hey, we're just waiting on your video. I was like, hey, I still haven't received anything. They're like, oh, it says it's been delivered. I said, well, I haven't received it. Did they send a picture or something so that I can like try and identify like where it is? Because for some reason, like even a couple of days ago, they literally delivered it to the wrong door and took a picture of the wrong door, like with the wrong number and everything. So I just went there, picked it up, and
Oh my.
everything was fine. So I was like, oh, did they send a picture? They were like, no, they didn't send a picture. I was like, okay, well, do you have any more information? And they were like, oh, well, I suggest that what you start doing is Googling how to track the logistics company and Googling this and Googling that. This is the number. I was
Oh,
like, yeah, no, there are two options. One option is that you resend it. The other option is that we just don't do this because this is getting ridiculous.
yeah.
Um,
Wow.
and I was like, and even if we were to do it, I wouldn't do it for the next 2 months because I'm busy now. So in the end, we've decided not to. But yeah, people, yeah, I think that's one hard side of YouTube. I think
Mm-hmm.
you really have to be grounded in your worth and what you can offer, and
Mm-hmm.
what, especially when it comes to working with brands that don't seem to have any respect for what you do.
Yeah.
But are you done? I feel like I've been rambling and I've
Oh, sorry.
kidnapped you
Yeah,
for
I've
2
been
hours.
watching you paint and I've been looking at chat and just listening.
My
Um,
bad. I'm like, oh, I've kidnapped you.
no, I totally. It's just we could keep going on and on and on about that. That's a good topic though.
Yeah, we should do a part 2 and be like all
Yeah.
business in YouTube. Although I feel like I'm very much at the beginning stages, so I'm sure there are plenty more painful lessons to learn.
Yeah. But I feel like you already seem to have a really good understanding of like your own self-worth, and your time is really valuable and you're busy. So like I don't think you're going to let anyone take advantage of you.
I'm going to try my best.
It's sometimes hard to like weed out the companies who are genuine and like actually do value you, and who maybe you could like have a long-term working relationship with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there's a lot that aren't like that. So
exactly, because my thing is that it's not always necessarily like, you know, about money. It's about like, you know, like some will say, no, we can't, you know, we don't pay, but we would like to work together longer term, and this is what we can offer you, and blah blah. And there's like a bit more flexibility, as opposed to like coming at me with the we say jump, you say how high.
yeah.
Like, anyway.
Yeah. Oh, it's so hard sometimes.
No, but you're almost at 50,000 subscribers.
What?
You're almost at 50,000 subscribers.
Holy crap. Oh my gosh. Because even like 2 years ago, maybe, or I don't know, I started making a video like how I grew my channel to 10,000 followers. I never actually made that or finished it, but it didn't seem that long ago that I was making that video. So I have no idea how that happened. I think it was just
I'm
right
not
place,
surprised.
right time. And also I did put out a lot of videos in the last year or so.
Yeah, and your videos are incredible. Like,
thanks.
It's not just your art is incredible, and then the way that you depict everything is stunning. Like, honestly, when I say that I was considering going to Scotland, I wasn't joking, because I was like, how, like, and you had like over, what do you call these things, like drone shots and close-up shots, and even when you were doing like in the studio, like we were seeing you through the mirror, I was like, damn. Like
the mirror. So many people commented on that. That was funny.
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is like it feels like I'm watching a movie, but you're a relatable, really nice person."
Aw, thanks. So, I love. Don't you love the creativity of video? I mean, yes, video editing is tedious, but it is kind of like a puzzle in a way. Like it's got its own creative needs, its own criteria, and it's such a cool. I think it's a different kind of creative medium to work in.
No, I agree. I think it's like I find it to be a lot of work. Like I can't even lie, and it very time consuming. But one of the reasons that I haven't like got an editor, as well as like obviously the cost and everything, is that I don't know how. Like I like the self-expression that comes with it. As much as I complain about it, I do like that freedom of just creating what I want, and I don't know how I would convey that if somebody else was doing it for me.
I know, totally. I've thought about that too. I mean, even like Wolfie, when he starts with me, he's like, I can like help you with your video editing, and I can do this and that. I was like, actually, no, I love video editing. It's just, but if you help me with my shop and with these other things, it'll give more time for it. And like, you know, I want to try to keep the things that I love doing for myself. But it is like its own form of art. I mean, obviously, movies and cinematography is its own form of art. So,
how did you did you train in it? Oh, that was one of the questions someone asked. They asked if you were self-taught, or I guess
I mean, well, way back in the day, I taught myself photography, and then I turned that into a business. And then I did wedding photography and like events and official things. But I never did video until I started really making art and YouTube stuff.
Really?
So that was a huge learning curve. If you go back and watch my early videos, oh my God, they're so cringy. And like, I really want to delete them, but I won't.
No.
I like being able to see like, okay, you can teach yourself this thing. You can see the difference between then and now. Like,
I find that incredible.
Hopefully it's encouraging and not just cringy, but I cannot watch them because of, oh God, like it's so God.
It is encouraging. Even the fact that, you know, you were saying like you started off with gouache just 1 year before you came over. I'm like, wow, okay, so there is hope, guys, for everyone out there.
There's endless hope. I mean,
It was
yes, I am
definitely like,
obsessive, and like even before it was my full-time thing, I was trying to do it and sketch and think about it nonstop. But yeah, like anybody can learn it. Art, painting, cinematography, any of it. YouTube is a really good teacher.
and was that primarily what you were using for like learning, or did you do
Like the
courses?
technicals. I never really
Yeah,
looked into like YouTube. Like there are videos about like how to make a compelling video, but for me it was always like how do I use manual setting on my camera? Like, you know, things like that,
yeah.
technical stuff. Once you get the technical stuff, it's really just like repetition and playing and exploring, and that constant where you go out and shoot and then you bring it home and you look at it on the computer and you're like, oh, that was crap. Oh, next time I'll do this. Oh, okay, next time I'll do
Yeah.
that. And like every single video, you learn something. You learn a ton. And like then next time it will be a little bit better, but in a little way. And so hundreds of videos later, you've like learned so much.
I need to try that. I've got a camera and I have not used it for any of my videos. All my videos are recorded on my phone purely for that. Like, I guess I'm intimidated by like, oh, how will I, like, I know how to use a phone. You literally just press one button, done.
Yeah.
So I need to like, yeah, that's something for 2023. A lot of things from this video that I need to make note of for 2023 that I actually need to do. But
That's a good goal. Like, you know, you could even try an hour or less a week, half an hour a week with your camera on full manual and just go out, take some photos or videos and take it back to the computer and see it on the computer screen.
I can see the blurry images now.
But yeah, like every time you do it, you'll be like, oh, mental note, don't do that. Or next time
Yeah.
do this. And yeah, it gets better.
Well, I am so grateful that you have done this live stream.
Oh, me too.
Um,
Thanks for inviting me. It was fun.
no, I
And
had
I
such a
feel
good
like
time.
we have a lot of crossover in our community, so it's really fun to see a lot of the same people. Thanks everyone for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me show your
My
beautiful. Look at that. Let me
is it
remove
showing up? I don't know where it's centered.
centered
There.
S, I want to say. Yeah, that's beautiful. I really
I
like the
don't know what
tree on
happened
the
down here.
bottom
I just
right.
started like
I like
but
that
yeah,
one. That's my
it was
favorite. The
fun.
right, bottom right.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
It's
Is that the one that you're like, I don't know what happened?
this was the unstructured part. But even though I feel like I barely paid attention to what I was doing, I still learned something, which is good. But most importantly, I had fun chatting with you.
I had so much fun chatting with you as well. Honestly, I'm so happy that you joined. I had a really good time. I love live streaming anyway, but to do it with someone that, I get to chat with is perfect. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hope that everyone has enjoyed the live stream, or what should I say? Yeah, if you don't know, I mean, I feel like everyone knows you anyway, but yeah, don't forget to check out Sarah's channel as well, because this is streaming on my channel. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to check out Sarah's Patreon, which is also linked in the description, or my Ko-fi, which is also linked in the description. And yeah, we hope that you had a good night. If you were painting along, then feel free to share it on Instagram and tag us, because I'll be curious to know if anyone did any.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I kind of want to. I was gonna do a tape peel, but my tape peels notoriously kind of go hit and miss on this channel.
Oh,
When I'm live streaming.
wait, make it bigger. I want to see.
But I think because of the tape that I used, you can kind of already see a clear edge. I want to see.
Quick, someone photoshops their head onto Gossip Girl. Gouache gossip. Gouache sip. That's hard to say.
I like the alliteration with gouache gossip. I think it works.
Gouache sip.
Here's a tape peel. See, I already feel like you
so
can
satisfying.
One time I did a tape peel and tore the paper.
Oh, that's painful.
It was so painful. And then on this side, let's see. I think it's like here. Move it there. Yay, clean edges.
Love that.
And
I love how my tape is blue and I always paint over the edges of my tape quite a bit. So when I do the tape peel, it's so satisfying to like see the crisp edge without the blue. I just love it.
Because for me, my one is clear, so you can't see it as much. Normally I use like the masking tape and I paint over that quite a bit because this one kind of like repels the gouache a bit. But when I use the masking tape, sometimes it's not like, it doesn't give me the cleanest of edges. And that is devastating when you know, look at that.
So good.
Yeah, and then one more. But yeah, I hope everyone's enjoyed the stream.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for all the entertaining chat as well and the questions.
Yeah.
I did read a lot of them that I didn't respond to, like a lot of your comments I was reading as we were going, but I just didn't want to interrupt like our conversation. So but I saw it and I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
And until next time, I hope you guys have a lovely weekend.
Yeah, have a good weekend. See everyone later. Bye.